Uh, Good evening, everybody. Uh, this is the uh, another video for one of the board of director candidates for this election. Today I'm with Greg Woody, and before we go into the membership questions that the members posed and asked, I will go ahead and have Greg introduce himself and talk a little bit about himself. Go ahead, Greg.
Appreciate it. I'm Greg Woody. First of all, I apologize for the camera not working. I don't know what I've got going on with that part of it right now. It's been fine till tonight when I needed it, but I appreciate everybody tuning in and listening. I've been on the board for 3 years. I appreciate the opportunity to serve all of the members of IMZA, and that's one of the things I think we need to look out for the full membership of IMZA. And I appreciate the last 3 years and the trust, and I hope everybody gives me the trust to continue for another 3 years because there's several things that we could address to help the membership out as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, great. So these are the 9 questions. There's 9 questions that the membership has asked, and I have so I will speak them verbatim. I will not add any kind of additional context to them or ask any clarifications of any of your answers that you've posed to these questions. So we can go ahead and get started. Question number 1. In the past, several individuals have accused individual members of the board of directors of IMZA of being corrupt, dishonest, unethical, or of showing favoritism and having made decisions for their own personal benefit. Do you agree with any of these accusations? If so, which ones and why?
I feel like there's been some favoritism because there's been some rules changed after board members in the past took advantage of some of the rules that were there, and then they changed it where nobody else could do the same thing. One of the things that I've experienced firsthand is our president, Mr. Gene Ahern, called me back July the 7th of this last year and was very profane and screaming at me, and his wife was screaming at me because I did make a phone call to check onto the new computer system and what was getting done, because I do have in the emails that whenever we hired Doug said he would have it done in 6 months at the most, and it took 2 years. There's several things that have not been addressed with the new computer system as far as I'm concerned that should have been addressed. And one of the things on that part is, we could set the new system up to where the first of each day of each month, it would tell us as a cross-reference as to how many new members we had, how many cattle we transferred, how many we registered, and break it down accordingly. When the computer system's capable of doing that, it would serve as a good cross-reference to make sure that everybody was being honest and all the money was coming into IMZA was properly accounted for. I'm not saying anybody's doing anything, but that is a good way just to cross-reference to make sure that it is being covered and taken care of for all the members of IMZA. I believe that covers most of it. I mean, it's one of those deals you could go into depth for hours and delve into that question farther.
Okay.
And Gene's, or sorry, one more thing I'll add. Gene was with ethics comments 5 years ago in the past, and he's done several things. We've had board members that resigned, and we've had board members that ran one term and never ran again because of the pressure they were feeling for being on the board. Thanks.
Okay. Question number 2. What is your position on relaxing the registration rules, or at least relaxing their enforcement?
Well, the enforcement of them is something we need to follow through on, but the worst trouble is the rules need to be consistent and treated evenly for all members. Like one of the things that I've been arguing about right now is that auction form opens the door, I should say, from some misinterpretation of things. Accordingly, we need to address that because most people are aware when it's on the board. We've had a couple issues lately that should never have came up. I agree, but yet we need to go ahead and handle them for the well-being of the association, because IMZA does not need to be getting people aggravated and getting people to leave IMZA. IMZA needs to be with open arms and bringing more people into the association to help support and promote the zebu cattle.
Okay. Question number 3. Why do you believe you are a good candidate for the board of director position where it pertains specifically to the zebu breed?
Because I've had zebus for 40 years. I have quite a few zebus. I think I have one of the largest herds in the United States. And I've been on the board. I've already seen some of the things that have come out. And the thing I see happening, I feel like with the zebu, with IMZA, is I think we need to represent all members. And I don't feel like all members are being represented because we need to show people. We need the people that are backyard breeders that breed for color. We need the people that have for agriculture exemptions, total numbers. Because the thing about it is we have a lot of fixed cost in our registry. And the more people you have involved, the more return we have for the association, and the money that comes in for the association can then be used to help promote zebus and get more people interested in the zebu cattle. Because one of the things that I've been fighting for the last couple of years, a lot of people are not aware of, is USDA wanted to declare zebu cattle a pet cattle and wanted to start inspecting them through USDA inspections. And I pushed and pushed and pushed, and finally in May of 2025, they backed off on that and realized what the deal was and quit trying to pursue inspecting zebu cattle.
Okay. Question number 4. What have you done in the past and commit to doing in the future for the preservation of the breed, specifically pertaining to the IMZA and its registry, and why do you feel this is important?
I gave 3 steer calves away last year. I at the present time right now are accepting kids sending in their stories about why they could want a zebu and what they could do with it. We're going to give away 3 more this year and different things like that to get the zebus out and exposed to the public. We've taken them as babies into the nursing homes. And we also raised one 3 years ago that the person that had him had the misfortune of losing him. He was declared the only zebu bull that was ever declared a service animal for going into nursing homes and working with people that way.
Okay. Question number 5. What do you feel that you bring to the table as an IMZA board member?
Diversification is one of the things I think I bring because, as I say, I've been in the livestock business my entire life. I've had zebus for about 40 years. I've seen a lot of things come and go. I've been out traveling all over the United States doing shows and working with the public and seeing things that the public perceives and trying to educate the public on things that they can do with the zebus and different animals around. Because there is a challenge out there. A lot of people that have agendas or have ideas, but are not really knowledgeable about what they're talking about. And therefore, we need to get them educated more about what they're looking into.
Okay. Question number 6. It is a very long question, so let me finish it and then I'll let you respond. Have you ever been cited by the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, the FWC, or any branch of the ASPCA for any offense related to the care of animals? This includes, but is not limited to, failure to meet the minimum standard of care for animals used in exhibition as established by the Federal Animal Welfare Act, failure to contact a veterinarian for injuries or illness, failure to handle animals in a way that avoids trauma, behavioral stress, physical harm, or unnecessary discomfort, failure to provide animals with a shelter from inclement weather, failure to provide adequate space allowing normal postural adjustments and freedom of movement, conducting auction sales without a required license, brokering, exhibiting, or transporting regulated animals on a suspended license, interfering with agencies' inspections, denying access to records or property inspections, failure to produce acquisition and disposition records to determine if regulated activities are being conducted, verbally abusing or threatening USDA officials, or refusing to allow inspection of records or property.
This is a question that somebody has cooked up aimed strictly at me. I am the only IMZA board member that has ever held a USDA license to my knowledge. I've held a USDA license for mostly for 40 years. The thing that people don't realize with this agenda-driven thing here is this is backed by PETA. I have proof that my USDA inspector that wrote all that stuff up was working with PETA with Born Free USA. This was based upon lions, tigers, and bears. This was not based upon zebu cattle. This has been going ongoing feud. USDA brought me on a $540,000 fine at one time. They went ahead and settled it for $8,000 and it meant no wrongdoing. So if they actually had me and I was actually such a bad guy, why would I still have a license? I still have a license. We went through the situation last year when, as I started earlier, USDA APHIS said they was going to start inspecting all zebu cattle. And I finally got that stopped. And other people in the industry, I don't think, realize how big of a situation that is. And the thing about it is, as I tell people, if you take 10 people and you put them in a room and you have them all give you the temperature of hot water, you're going to get 10 different answers. Who's right? The one that works for the government that's got the title. That's the one that's right, even though you're all right in your own way. And that's the trouble we've had because these USDA inspectors are coming in with agendas. I have a lawsuit going on right now because of the things that they have done against them, back from my end of things. And this is a pretty in-depth situation that I invite anybody to call me, and I'll be tickled to go through and explain the full details to everybody. It's going to take a long time, as I say, to go through it. This is, again, repeating, this is agenda-driven. I guess, and Will, I heard something and I'm asking. You showed at Denver a couple of weeks ago, correct?
Yes.
Did the judge say anything about weak pastures or anything on any of your cattle?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Did the judge say anything about weak pastures or anything on any of your cattle?
No.
Okay, but that's his opinion. That's what I'm getting at. Who's right? He's the one that was in control that day at the judging. And that's what I'm getting at. That's just like USDA. Whoever's doing the inspecting is the one that's got that. And just because they write you up doesn't mean that they're right and you're wrong. And that's what happens with USDA. They come in there with agenda. The thing about it is they were after me because I had lions and bears. They were not after me because of cattle. The problem has not been with cattle and things like that. It's been agenda driven against animal people that had cats and bears. And I go way back, moved a lot of cats and bears. I've done a lot. After 45 plus years, I think if I was doing things illegal and bad, and as the acquisitions everybody wants to try to make a big to-do out of, USDA would have pulled my license. USDA sent me a letter in May of this last year, and I'll be glad to share it with anybody else, apologizing for the inconvenience they caused me for the last year trying to get to the bottom of this USDA stuff. Now, how many people get a letter of apology from USDA? I appreciate everybody who has a say interest. Feel free to reach out to me. My number is posted most any place, and I'll be glad to explain it to anybody that wants to know more details about it. This is just somebody that doesn't understand trying to pursue an agenda because PETA is very strong with USDA.
Okay. Number 7. Are you aware of any current IMZA board member or any individual currently running for a board position who has been cited by the USDA, FWC, or any branch of the ASPCA for any offenses or violations as I described earlier?
As I said earlier, I'm the only one that has a license. I will guarantee you, if I come to anybody that's listening to this operation, I could find something that USDA would write you up on. As I say, what's the water temperatures? Do you realize that if you have any dirt in the bottom of your water tank, that's a violation? And as I say, and then the other question is, what's a clean cow? If they step in a mud puddle, that doesn't qualify. That's just like me and a buddy was talking a while ago. If you have a water tank in your cattle pasture, and we've all seen this at different times, instead of drinking out of the water tank, they go over there and drink out of the mud puddle. It's just the way animals are sometimes.
Okay. Number 8. Do you agree that if any board member or candidate has received any of these aforementioned citations, that information should be disclosed to all voting members of the IMZA so that they can make an informed decision?
As long as they will investigate it and learn everything that's said, yes. I don't have a problem with them making an informed decision. I think they should make an informed decision. The difference is if you get a speeding ticket or anything else in life, that doesn't mean you're guilty. It means that somebody wrote you for whatever it was. And that's where we're at on this situation with USDA. After 45 years, I'm one of the few that can sit here and tell you that I had, as I say, I'm still going. I admit they didn't get me on any wrongdoing. It's just an agenda-driven fact, and that's the thing that they're trying to do. And if anybody has any questions, please don't jump in and form an opinion until you investigate. When I say investigate, I'm saying both sides. You want to investigate me, I'm welcome to it. Come on over, we'll talk about it. I'll show you what I got, because there's a lot that goes into this. I'm very proud that I've done it at my age and been as long as I have because of all the agendas that everybody has done to try to get me out of business. Because as I say, it's agenda driven for cats and bears. It has nothing to do with cattle.
Okay. And the final question. Would you support a future motion to amend the IMZA bylaws to prohibit anyone who has received any of the aforementioned citations from seeking or holding a board position?
Okay, there is a difference between a citation and guilty. And we already have it in the bylaws that if you're found guilty of a federal felony, therefore you cannot be seated on the IMZA board. And as I say, the difference between being found guilty and being cited. And anybody can be cited for about anything. So no, I'm against it on the cited part. I still back it on the charges and allegations when you're actually found guilty of doing something that way. I just want everybody to become informed. And as I say, IMZA, this is an agenda. We have some board members that are trying to run it for themselves. And I don't think IMZA is for just a certain group. I think it's for everybody. As I say, also, repeating probably, but that's like people go back and watch a Zoom meeting from April of last year and listen to the profanity and everything that went on there. Gene got wrote up for his allegations 5 years ago from a past board. There's a lot of stuff there that should not be going on. Because the thing is, IMZA should be for all members. One of the things I'm pushing for is let's have a Zoom meeting every 60 days instead of all these emails, and let the membership of IMZA see what's going on. Let's not be so secretive about, well, don't tell them. I mean, I've got emails when I got chastised because I mentioned things to other IMZA members. Oh, you need to keep that in the board. We don't need to keep nothing in the board unless it involves somebody's personal name. Everything else needs to be exposed and let all the members see it and see what's going on, because there's lots of questions that I've got that I cannot find answers to because, I'm not privileged to get into it. The passwords for all of IMZA need to be with other people other than Gene. And I was told they are. I'm hoping they are. But the worst trouble is I don't want nothing to happen to nobody. But I've had people that were friends that I knew that had a heart attack and died. And if one person has all those passwords under their control, and it's IMZA, then where are we at? We have to have somebody else capable of coming in, picking up, and going on. And that's what I want to see done, is protect IMZA's members, not just 2 or 3 people being in control of everything that way. I'm just going to be blunt and say it this way. If you've been happy with IMZA and the friction and everything for the last 4 or 5 years, go right ahead and vote Gene and Gene and Josh right back in there. If you're not happy with what's happened the last 4 or 5 years, then vote the other people in there. I've been on there for 3 years. If you want to vote me on, great. If you want to vote me off, that's up to you. But I encourage everybody to bring in some people and vote accordingly. But the number one thing to do, get out and, fill in your votes, people. Send it in this time. We have a lot of people that never even vote. Go ahead and get your vote in for IMZA board and support it, because I think part of the problem has been is a lot of people didn't feel like they had any say because they've been ignored for so long. I think we need to change that. I think we need to listen to all IMZA members.
Okay. Those were the 9 questions. I know you kind of went in a little bit outside of that question. Maybe as some closing remarks, do you have any other items you'd like to discuss before we stop the recording?
Well, and as you said, I already went in and covered it. I mean, I encourage everybody to vote. And I encourage everybody to, if you're happy with where you've been, vote to continue. If you're not happy, vote for some change on the board because there's some things there that need to be done. The computer system, one thing I will mention is, the shopping cart finally come out, but I've had records to prove that, I made a motion that we have another individual go ahead and get the computer program done. And I got chastised on that one, but then the next day it was released to all IMZA members. It's time to clean house and bring IMZA back to all members instead of a little private agenda. And as I say, if anybody out there is listening to this, you got any questions, give me a call. I'll be happy to visit with you. And as I say, if you have any questions about this USDA stuff, I'll be happy to answer questions for you. I'm not a secretive kind of guy. I'll open the books and let everybody see. And as I say, there's a lot goes on there. And we've done a lot over the last 45 years. I've traveled with animal shows, petting zoos, and everything else under the sun. And the more you do, the more you're out there, the more exposure you have. But me having all the exposure I've had for 45 years and not been found guilty of anything is a different situation I invite people to check into. Appreciate the time. I hope everybody feels comfortable with my answers. I hope everybody has, again, repeating votes. And if you got any questions, again, give me a call. Thanks.
Okay, I will go ahead and stop the recording.
Okay.